Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another recap video. So this week was it was okay. I had one loss this week, but you know, we'll get to that a little bit in the later on in the video. So as usual, I'll start with the pairs that did set up. Well, we'll start with the pairs that did not set up, the pairs that I'm still looking at, and then we'll drop to the greens of the the pairs that actually did set up and I took some trades on. All right, so here on GBPAUD, downtrend still is the bias, but we didn't see a break of this daily level. Instead, what we saw was a corrective move back up to this very shoddy trend line, but yeah, back to the level anyway. So we'll be keeping an eye on this still to see what plays off. We might actually see a break above and continue upwards for a reversal, or we might see it drop from this level, right? So I'll just be keeping an eye on this still. GBPCAD. Right, so we had, right, so this was the analysis last week. So 5 candles back, which was here. So this actually set up during London for me. So I didn't catch an entry on this. So, but it would have worked out to be a very nice trade. So this analysis played out as expected. So trend line in confluence with the zone together with some rejection. So this would have been a nice trade, but unfortunately I missed entry. Okay, so GJ. So this is playing out as expected. So we have the uptrend, and I said that I thought it would push into this level, and we could see one of two things happen. Either we can see it break past with some velocity, and if it does, then I'll look for the retest, or we'll see a strong rejection. Right now we're getting this strong rejection on the daily with a bearish engulfing candle. So I don't know, we might see it reverse from here and come back down into this level. If we do, then that would be a possible trade entry for me around here, somewhere around there, but we'll just have to wait and see. I'll do some more analysis on this tomorrow in tomorrow's video. EURCHF. So this was interesting. It played out as expected, but no entries were had because I was only looking for long entries based on this continuous uptrend. But I did say, based on last week analysis, that we could see a strong momentum move past this, come back up, retest, and in this case it retested here, but it also showed some rejection in and around this area, right? So what we could be looking for, on this pair for the future might be some further downside, right? I don't know. We'll have to see. I'll spend some more time on this again tomorrow with the analysis video. EURJPY. So this one is very interesting. So I didn't catch any entries on this, but I did say because of this flag formation and the corrective movement into the level, you could see a spike above to take out a lot of people's stops, right? Because a lot of people will be going short here, right? We did see the spike just above the zone, and now you're getting this strong break down, right? It's almost working out exactly as predicted. So what I'll be looking for now is just for this to push back up, retest, and then I'll probably look for short positions. We'll have to keep an eye on this to see how it plays out. EURNZD. Nothing set up on this. It seemed to just kind of consolidate for most of the week, right? So I did my analysis back here, so 5 days ago. And it's just been consolidating pretty much all week. EURUSD. This one is setting up slowly but surely. So we had the momentum move up and just patiently waiting for it to come back down into this level. you know, with some sign of rejection, and then I'll be looking to take it long, right? So I did an analysis obviously back here, so we see any move that we want to play out. So we're just keeping this on the list and just keeping patient. CADJPY, what happened on this pair? Okay, so price came up into the level, but I was expecting it to push on strong from where I did my analysis, and if it did, I'd look for an entry around here, but you know, that didn't happen. It seemed to just kind of consolidate. So right now, well, I said one of two things we could probably see. We could either see the strong move up, or we could see it reject the level and kind of trickle all the way back down into this kind of range that it's in, right? So it seemed like it might be doing that. This might have just been I guess a stop hunt or a bit of manipulation to just take out people's stops that all want to go short. So we'll just wait for confirmation. So if it breaks, comes back up, tests anywhere in this area, this might be a good level. This would be a good level. And then wait for it to drop, but no setups on that yet. USDCHF, this one's playing out as expected as well. Just waiting, still waiting. So we wanted to come back up into this level. So if it does, then you know, we'll look for that drop. USDCAD. So this didn't, well, it's respecting the trend line for now, but for me to catch an entry on this, I would have wanted to see a break past this level here. It's minor level. I think that's a 4-hour level. Let's see. Yeah, so it's that 4-hour level, but you know, it's not really playing out. So we'll have to keep an eye on this to see. Right now, it's respecting the trend line, but it's not really respecting any zones here. So I'll probably clear this chart and do a fresh analysis. USDJPY, so this one's playing out as expected, but unfortunately I didn't catch an entry on this. I think it's set up in London or Asia. So I did analysis back here. I said if it came up into this level, we could see a further push down, right? Because bias for this right now is shorts, but I didn't catch any entries on this. But seems to be playing out as expected, right? It said that we could see some consolidation almost to the T, and then it might drop back into this level. So we'll wait to see. I mean, right now it's kind of testing this level here where it closed on Friday. So, you know, you might actually see the move play out, but we'll just keep an eye on it. AUDCAD. All right, so nothing much to report on this pair. Still waiting for it to come back into this daily level. If it does, then I'll look for a nice momentum move up. So a continuation of the uptrend. So keeping an eye on this. AUDNZD, it's playing out as expected as well. So we had the break of these two trend lines. I can get rid of this one now. All right, so that was the first break of that trend line. Let me just put it back in. So break of this trend line here was the first sign that it may actually continue bullish. Once it did break that trend line, it did continue bullish. And I said if we saw a break of this trend line, we might actually see a momentum past this zone here. And right now we're seeing that playing out. So if we see it pull back into this level, then I'll be looking for further long positions. So no setups yet on that. AUDUSD, this one had a few setups this week, but I didn't take any trades. But I did say we can either see price bounce from this level and continue up because of this zone, this minor zone here, or we could see a momentum push through and then come back up. It didn't really respect the level. Instead, it went way back up to the trend line, respected here, and then it's kind of pushed up again. So no setups were taken on this pair, but it's playing out as expected. But you know, we'll probably look for maybe a trend reversal on this for the next coming weeks. NZDCAD. So this actually set up for me. I would have taken this an entry here on this level, let's just jump back to the daily. All right, so I identified this high as a potential break and retest area. So I was looking for price to break through, which it did, come back, retest it with some rejection, and then look for a target to the previous highs, right? And that did set up right here. So if I saw this, I would have taken this trade, right? But I didn't catch an entry, and obviously price did a reversal, right? So it tried to push up from the level, but instead we're seeing this crack through. And that's what I said here with this analysis, right? I said what we could see is it break through this level and come back up, retest, and then drop further, right? And I mean, it did break through, it retested the base here, and now it's dropping further. So, you know, we'll keep an eye on this to see if it wants to continue down or if you'll see some rejections to continue up. I'll keep an eye on it. NZDUSD. So again, this one set up for me. Yes, it actually did. Right, so set up Tuesday morning, I was already in NZDJPY, which is why it's highlighted green. Did not want to overexpose to NZD. So I did see this entry set up here on, I can't remember what day it was, the 12th, whatever day the 12th was. So I did see this set up. I would have taken this trade. First TP would have been around this level here. So first TP would have been hit, and then I would have been taken out at break even. I wouldn't have taken a re-entry here because normally if my trades are going to work out, it would kind of continue very bullishly. So if I did enter here and it came down and took me out here, I would not have taken a re-entry, even though it would have probably hit the first TP. We saw that reversal off of this level. But anyway, no entries were taken on this. So now we can see it's breaking past this level here, breaking past the trend line, which is this longer term steep trend line. So, you know, we might actually see it reverse and come back into this sort of trend line here, which might line up with these levels here, right? So anyway, so those were the pairs that I kept an eye on. It didn't really, as I said, I didn't really catch any entries on any of those, and some of them are playing out exactly as expected. So yeah, we'll just have to keep an eye on things and see how things play out for the weeks upcoming. So on to the trades that I did actually enter. I didn't enter EURAUD again, but I'm still holding this trade. So I scaled out the majority of my position at this level here, which was just about 5 to 1, so 4.9, yeah, 5 to 1 basically. And I introduced this 1.57 level because this is a very significant level, right? So you could see here when price was coming down, it struggled right around this level, and then it had this strong momentum move down, right? So I didn't take any entries here. I would have taken an entry kind of around this level, which is why I have it drawn in, or around the 1.57. But I didn't, because, you know, I'm already in this trade. I ended up scaling out most of my position at these levels here. And yeah, I'm just gonna leave the rest around to see how far it gets. But this was a really nice trade. I like this trade. You know, it's a good way to start the year off. So we'll see what happens with EURAUD from these levels now. Might see a reversal, come back into this level, might break past again the 1.57, come back down, retest it, and then push into these levels here, you know. But I wouldn't be taking any trades on this because obviously my bias is to the downside, so I'll only be looking for short positions. All right, so let me look at my journal. Okay, so the first trade entry I took was NZDJPY. This was taken on a smaller time frame, the 5-minute time frame. Long net pips 27. This was the time I entered the trade. Cool. So I looked at some hidden bullish divergence on the 4-hour level. I wanted price to break past these highs, come back down, retest, and then push higher, right? So let's have a look at, and this is when I close the trade. All right, so I'll close the trade off. This is a 1-hour time shot, but I'll explain that to you in a bit. So I'll close the trade off with some profits here at this level, which was my first TP, and then I was taken out at break even, right? So we had price almost reached the level, came all the way back down to entry, and pushed back up, took out my first TP, moved my stops to break even, and then it took me out here at break even. So the analysis for this was based on a break and retest of a H4 level, a lower time frame entry based on hidden divergence on a 5-minute time frame, limit set for retest of the broken high. Now I've highlighted this in red because, as a reminder, I'm not supposed to be trading limits. I don't like to set limits because I like to look at the price action at my levels before I take entries, and I didn't do that for this trade. I just set a limit. I mean, even though it worked out fine, as I said here, trade worked out fine, but I really should not, I should say not not. All right, so that should not be, but sorry, trade worked out fine, but I really should not be setting limits. So I shouldn't be setting any kind of buy limits, right? So TP1 was secured at 2.6 hour, rest stopped at break even. So if you look at the chart, I'll bring up my divergence on, what pair did we say it was? NZDJPY. All right, so that was this was my first entered trade for the week. So NZDJPY 5-minute time frame. Let's see if we can go back to the trade. All right, cool. So this was the divergence I looked at. So higher lows on the divergence, lower lows, higher lows on the RSI, lower lows on price. So I looked for a reversal. This is where I did my analysis. So the break of these highs, yeah, these highs that were formed. So I was looking for price to come back into this level, right? And look for some rejection to then go, go long. So I set my limit at this level here, just beneath. So I'll make sure, if I am setting limits, I'll set it a little bit deeper. And so that was that trade, right? And it worked out roughly to 2.6 to 1, and the rest was stopped at break even. The second trade was NZDJPY on the 4-hour time frame. It was a long position, net pips 31. This was the trade at time of entry. All right, so we had this minor 4-hour level. Price pushed past it, came back down with rejection at this candle here. It also had a confluence of the trend line, the steeper trend line, together with the 50% fib. So that was enough for me. Stops well beneath the level, targeting previous highs, right? First TP, I believe, was around these lows at a 1-to-1. Then this was the trade at the end. Cool. So this was the entry. Secured profits at these lows here. TP1, same TP as the lower time frame entry. So that was secured at 1-to-1. Then it came down and took me out at break even, right? Also breaking the trend line quite bearishly. So let's have a look at what I said on this trade. So break and retest of a minor daily level, confluence of trend line, 50% fib. Happy with entry. Trade did not work out as expected. TP1 hit at 1 hour, rest out at break even. Confluence. Okay, so let's have a look at this trade now on the 4 time frame. Okay, so all right, so basically let me just jump out to the daily for a sec. So what I looked at on the daily was this minor spike here, right? So on the 4 hour, this is actually a pretty decent zone. So I was looking at this high here in confluence with the trend line, and I said if price came down, respected it, then I'll look for a push up, right? I didn't really like this setup too much because it is bearish engulfing candle on the daily, but I still thought we might have seen price push back up to kind of complete these highs, form a double top, and then maybe find that reversal, right? But the reversal actually happened you know, pretty much straight away. You had some consolidation which we caught some profits on, but you know, price broke quite bearishly now with some momentum and is now testing this level here, right? So I mean, I would take this trade over and over again. You know, it came down with rejection at my zone with the trend line and the pullback area. So I was very, very happy with this trade. Although, you know, unfortunately it didn't quite work out as expected. Instead, price broke past the trend line, came back up, tested again, and then you show this massive move down, right? So this might be the indication of a trend reversal. We'll have to keep an eye on it and see, right? So that was the 2 trades I took on NZDJPY this week. The other pair that I traded was AUDJPY. I'll just look at my journal. AUDJPY 15-minute entry, long 33 pips. This was the trade at time of entry. Cool. So I entered on this this level here. Right, it's a minor 1 hour level in a kind of 1 hour channel that I saw was forming. So I took an entry here, which is a nice. I really do like entries onto a touch of trend line. So that's one of my favorite setups. So I really did like this entry. And then this was the trade at time of closing. Cool. So initial TPs were the previous highs as normal. I didn't scale out of this position until it reached these highs, but the way that it reached the highs, I decided to take half my position off at the first TP and then leave the rest to run to see if it would, you know, kind of complete these highs, which would have been a very, very nice trade, right? But it started to respect the upper levels of the trend line or the channel, and I decided to close the position off. I think the full close off was at 4.2. Yeah, 4.2. All right, so basically this was my analysis. Minor channel forming on the 1 hour time frame in general trend direction, which was obviously bullish. 15-minute entry based on a break and retest. Happy with this trade. Half profit secured at 3.26 R. Close the remainder of the position at 4.2 R. And I have plenty typos this week. Closed. Happy with this trade. General trend direction. Secured. Cool. Right, so let's look at my analysis on this pair. So obviously on the 4 hour time frame and the daily time frame, I'm looking at only bullish trades, right? But because of how price action was forming this week, I looked on the lower time frame for entries. So this was the big flop of the week, but I'll get to that last. All right, so this was the trade I was looking at, right? So we had this kind of channel starting to form on the 1 hour time frame, right? And you know what I said in my analysis video, right? What I like to see in bullish moves are strong moves up and slow moves down, right? So you see price made a strong bullish move, kind of made this consolidation back to the channel. Strong bullish move. Yes, fine, it did have this bearish, you know, this big bearish candle, but I believe that whenever I see stuff like this inside of a nicely forming channel, I always think that it's the way of the market makers trying to take out a bunch of people who might have been, you know, placing orders like around here at these levels. And you know, so anytime you see I see a momentum move like this, I'm like, all right, cool, that might be a fake out, right? It might just be trying to take a bunch of people out who are just trading off of the level. So I like that kind of price action for this particular trade, because it kind of show a rush of blood back into my level, and you know, with that I look for a nice reversal, right? But I'll drop to the lower time frame, which was the 15-minute time frame for entry, and just observe how price came into my level after that bearish move, right? So had a big bearish move into it, then price pushed up off of my level, right? That was a sign of rejection. Then it had to kind of move back into the level. When it did that, if you look on the lower time frames, like the 5-minute time frames and stuff, this is a nice formation on the lower time frames. So when I saw that, I took an entry off of my level together with the zone. First targets were final targets were these previous highs, but because of how price moved, I decided to only, you know, I didn't scale out of the position. Normally I would have scaled out the position around here, right, around these levels, which would have been like probably like 1.2 or 1.3 to 1, but I decided to kind of just hold the position because of the price action, right? But when it reached these highs here, because of this kind of candle formed here, I decided to, that's where I took my profits off the table and just left the rest to run. And then once I saw it come into this level with these rejections, I thought, you know what, let me just close the position off. So I closed the position off right on this candle here. So that was a very nice trade. Plus we had this kind of formation forming of this trend line here, right? And anytime you see crosses like this, you know, you could probably see some kind of a big move, right? Either it's going to push past and continue higher, or you know, you'll get that reversal. That's why I decided to close the position off here. So that was probably the trade of the week for me. I was really happy with this trade. The next trade was on the flop of the week. So you know, AUDJPY gave me the trade of the week and the flop of the week. Alright, so AUDJPY flop of the week. So this was taken on the 1 hour time frame, long position. I had a 13 pip stop loss. It was a tight stop loss because of the setup. So this was the trade at time of entry. Cool. So I had this level drawn in here. Right, so we had this level drawn in here, looking at these highs, kind of respected it, didn't really respect it here, didn't respect it here, but then it continued to respect it around these levels, right? So what I looked at was this trend line here. All right, so if we're looking for a bullish move off the highs of these trend lines, that was a pretty decent confluence for me, together with a third touch of, I consider this to be one touch, right? To a touch of this trend line here together with my zone, and this was a 50% fib as well. So this was a nice setup for me, targeting the previous highs, right? So I really did like that setup. This was the trade at the time of closing, or when I woke up the next morning. So I woke up, price just disrespected the level completely and dropped lower. Right, and it was a strong bearish move. So let's look at my journal entry, right? So me break and retest 1 hour time frame, right? So break and retest on the 1 hour time frame of a minor H4 level, set a limit for this trade during the Asian session. No confirmation, broke the rules. This was a bad trade. So part of my trading strategy is always to look at price action at my levels before deciding if to enter or not. I didn't do that for this trade. In addition, I do not trade the Asian session. I only trade New York session, and I should not have been looking at charts during the session, right? and that's just part of my rules. And nothing's wrong with the Asian session. It's just I don't trade it, right? I try as best as possible to stick to the New York session, but because of how much I believed in my analysis, I decided to set a limit for this particular trade, and I shouldn't have done that. I should not have done that, right? So I broke two rules. I set a limit, which I am not supposed to be doing, and I also traded in the Asian session, which I'm not supposed to be doing. So all in all, this was a bad trade. So let's have a look at the, I'll just jump to the actual entry time frame, which was the 1 hour. All right, so this was the 4 hour level, right? So as I described, trend line coming down, trend line going up, nice cross together with the zone. I think it was also a 50% fib. Let's have a look. So from these lows here to these highs here, actually is a 661.8, which is even better for me. But what I would have liked to see, right? You see, it did stop exactly at the cross, right? What I would have liked to see, if I was actually awake for this trade and didn't set a limit, what I would have liked to see is rejections, right? So this sort of price action here. See, that's a proper nice rejection of this level. That's what I like to see, right? You could see, I mean, I showed you for this trade on the 15-minute time frame, the kind of price action I like to see. So if I was actually awake for this trade and I saw this, I wouldn't have taken this entry. But because I set a limit, the limit was activated, and obviously the momentum just pushed through. So, you know, I was the flop of the week, but you know, you win some, you lose some. So I've marked it, highlighted it in red. So hopefully at the end of the month, when I do my recap of how my month went, then, you know, I'll kind of look back at these highlighted errors and try to improve on it, right? So no massive gains this week, you know, 78 pips in total. If you look at what that would have meant in terms of return on investment for a hypothetical 10K account. So for the first NZDJPY trade, 2.6 to 1, rest stopped at break even. Second trade was 1 to 1, rest stopped at break even. The AUDJPY was 3.26, first TP, second TP closed off at 4.2. And then this was the last AUDJPY trade, right? So -1, -1. So not too bad. 75% win rate for the week. Three out of 4 trades, which isn't bad. 4.5 R return. So based on how much ever you risk, whether it be 2%, 1%, whatever, that would have been a, you know, I'm comfortable with that. You know, for most months, I aim for between 5 to 10, 15 R return. So 4.5 in a week isn't bad, you know. So anyway, that's the recap for the trades this week based on the analysis of last week. So yeah, more analysis tomorrow. I'll probably clear the charts tomorrow and start from scratch on most of these pairs. Well, not most of them, some of them, because, you know, I'll just get rid of all these trades and levels and stuff, and you know, do some fresh analysis. Anyway, if you made it this far, as usual, thanks for watching. If you like what you see, feel free to subscribe and join me on my my trading journey. So I'll catch you tomorrow on the analysis video.